Welcome to the Bible Breakdown. It's a black man and woman in America who no longer identify as believers. This show contains adult languages, themes, and isn't meant for children. As black people, we respect the history of the black church in America, but its current state is massively abusive, and we think the Bible might be part of the problem. Listen and let us know what you think. Peace. Welcome back to another episode of the Bible Breakdown. I'm your host, Kat.
And I'm TK.
Good morning, TK. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing super-de-duper.
Is that true?
What about yourself?
It sounded a little fake.
Well, that was my answer.
Okay. I'm fine. Just been, trying to prepare myself for the upcoming, 4 years, I guess. I think I might move to Mexico. They have a female president.
I'm aware that I saw she commented on something the other day.
Yeah, Claudia Scheinbaum. So, yeah, it's just, I'd like to learn, we don't learn much about Mexican history in school. And did you know they ended slavery before the United States?
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, there's actually populations of black and indigenous people who would hide out because the U.S. government was absolutely tyrannical. So yeah, just something to peep into. I feel like there's sometimes sort of a negative view of Mexico that our incoming president likes to exploit to fearmonger. And I think it's probably unfounded. They're just people.
They are just people. Mexico's a nice place. I recommend people go.
Yeah. So, do you remember what we talked about last time on the Bible Breakdown?
Last time we discussed David getting in trouble because he took a census. God gave us a little plague because of that, or a big plague. There was a siege and capture of the rabbi, or what? There was a siege and capture of the rabbi, and then the Ammonites and Arameans, they were defeated.
Or slaughtered would be a fun word.
I mean, I don't know about fun, but it is another word.
I was being ironic. But yes, I think I remember being very sort of disturbed by David's tactics, especially because he likes, killing the horses too, which is, okay, but it just seems like a waste of resources. I feel like Genghis Khan would tell you, it's like, hey, you could probably use those horses. But who knows? Maybe he needed them.
Hamstring them, right? Or something like that.
But who knows? He might have, maybe wanted to use them for meat to feed his armies or sacrifices, because this is back at a time when they felt like the only way they could communicate with God is to set something on fire on an altar so God would know they meant business.
Yeah.
And to me, that was always just kind of strange because that's how a lot of other gods liked receiving tribute to. So it's just a fun coincidence that this god also liked the same thing.
It's almost as if it was just a place for, I guess, a reminder of you will be punished.
Yeah. We've already got a fire going. Do you want to get on it? Then you better get down or lay down.
And if you lay down, you stay down. So
yeah, it's it was a brutal time to be alive. Not anything I would want to return to, but yeah. And like I said, this is a lot of times just retellings of stuff we've already read in like Samuel and stuff. But lucky us, we get to read it again.
Oh, well, I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's been, We'll see what happens this time.
Yeah. Alrighty. So, First Chronicles 22, New Revised Standard Version. Then David said, "Here shall be the house of the Lord God, and here the altar of burnt offering for Israel." David prepares to build the temple. David gave orders to gather together the aliens who were residing in the land of Israel, and he sent stonecutters to prepare dressed stones for building the house of God. David also provided great stores of iron for nails for the doors of the gates and for the clamps, as well as bronze in quantities beyond weighing, and cedar logs without number. For the Sidonians and Tyrians brought great quantities of cedar to David. For David said, "My son Solomon is young and inexperienced. The house that is to be built for the Lord must be exceedingly magnificent, famous, and glorified throughout all lands. I therefore make preparation for it." So David provided materials in great quantity before his death. David's charge to Solomon and the leaders. Then he called for his son Solomon and charged him to build a house for the Lord, the God of Israel. David said to Solomon, "My son, I had planned to build a house to the name of the Lord my God, but the word of the Lord came to me, saying, 'You have shed much blood and have waged great wars. You shall not build a house in my name, because you have shed so much blood in my sight on earth. See, a son shall be born to you, and he shall be a man of peace. I will give him peace from all his enemies on every side, for his name shall be Solomon, and I will give peace and quiet to Israel in his days. He shall build a house for my name. He shall be a son to me, and I will be a father to him. And I will establish his royal throne in Israel forever." Okay. "Now, my son, the Lord be with you, so that you may succeed in building the house of the Lord your God, as he has spoken concerning you. Only may the Lord grant you discretion and understanding, so that when he gives you charge over Israel, you may keep the law of the Lord your God. Then you will prosper if you are careful to observe the statutes and ordinances that the Lord commanded Moses for Israel. Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid or dismayed. With great pains I have provided for the house of the Lord 100,000 talents of gold, 1,000,000 talents of silver, and bronze, and iron beyond weighing, for there is so much of it. Timber and stone I have provided too. To these you must add more. You have an abundance of workers, stone cutters, masons, carpenters, and all kinds of artisans without number, skilled in working gold, silver, bronze, and iron. Now begin the work, and the Lord be with you." David also commanded all the leaders of Israel to help his son Solomon, saying, "Is not the Lord your God with you? Has he not given you peace on every side? For he has delivered the inhabitants of the Lord into my hand, and the land is subdued before the Lord and his people. Now set your mind and heart to seek the Lord your God. Go and build the sanctuary of the Lord God, so that the ark of the covenant of the Lord and the holy vessels of God may be brought into the house, a house built for the name of the Lord." Thanks be to God. He likes it fancy.
That he does. That
Yeah.
he does.
This is a little different than the original story of Solomon taking over for David. Do you remember the original or the first one we read?
I don't, but please illuminate me.
Well, before I do that, was there anything you took from the chapter I just read?
I think that no, nothing stands out right now, but let's talk through it.
Okay, so in the original, I'm going to see if I can find the chapter and verse for the story I'm thinking about. Let's see. Okay, so that would have been First Kings chapter.
And I do have something.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and hear it before I do my thing.
Well, I think it kind of just goes back to what you said before you even started reading. But all of the things that David was able to, I don't know if the word is procure, but we'll go with that. I mean, a lot of this is all very material things, gold, silver, bronze, those sort of things. And just seems like, I don't know, maybe in this time, those things, I mean, they were super valuable, but
Yeah,
it,
resources.
yeah. I mean, do we count that as, yeah, I guess it's a resource because I mean, it'd be like their currency at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess that leads to other things. I mean, you could buy food, whatever, like that. Um, but a lot of it too just is God building these tabernacles and things like that, temples, stuff like that. So it just seems unnecessary, I guess, is the thing that stands
Okay.
out to me.
I was also thinking too, a lot of the resources were probably looted from all the people he murdered.
That is a good observation.
You know, kind of like if you go into the Vatican, they have like a lot of looted artworks from all over the places that they've invaded.
Yeah. Same thing with the museums. Most
Sure.
museums.
Well, I mean, the Vatican, they would call it a museum. But once again, all those European countries that looted these countries and put their stuff in their museums, they did under the blessing of the Catholic Church. And if people want to research the doctrine of discovery, that, you know, the Pope was more than happy at the time to preach that, you know, as long as you're going into these places and teaching them about the good Lord, you can just take whatever you want. And I don't think that's moral or good. I don't see that as divine. I feel like that's a very human and a very ugly human characteristic that we're trying to ascribe to God. But the story I was thinking about was in First Kings chapter 1, the struggle for succession. And when King David was advanced in years, his son Adonijah was thinking he was going to take over. But Bathsheba conspired with Nathan the prophet to put Solomon on the throne. So to me, it's kind of interesting that in Chronicles, we get a much more sanitized version of that story where it looks like it was just all David's idea.
Why do you think that is?
That's better propaganda. Like, I think someone a little cleverer was like, "Oh, let's not maybe mention the fact that this woman sort of engineered the next king of Israel."
But they do mention it. I mean, it's just earlier on.
But the once again, these are oral histories. So this whoever wrote Chronicles, we can find out who that is if we even know. But they may have either been aware or not aware of the First Kings version of it and decided to either from ignorance or
Mm.
through propaganda decided to leave it out.
And I guess they never planned that their version would wind up in the same book as somebody else's version.
Who knows? Like I said, this wasn't the I don't think the people who were writing this down eventually knew that it was going to become part of what became the Christian Bible. Like
Yeah.
right now, this is still pre-Christian era. These are just people who consider themselves, you know, Jewish or Hebrew. And just like we have different tellings of the life of George Washington. And then, like, there's the version we grew up with where it was like, oh, he was so honest, he couldn't tell a lie, and he chopped down the cherry tree. And then there's the more accurate historical accounts about, you know, how he treated his slaves. You know, it's just interesting. Some people, you know, just depending on who you ask, there are more sanitized versions of the same story. But I think that it's just interesting to me that while we're reading these parallel stories, they decided to completely leave out Nathan and Bathsheba's part in making Solomon king.
I definitely find it weird. I just also feel like this further highlights why I feel I feel like this it's gonna sound weird. I feel like this is a missed opportunity for the church in this moment. Like when the Bible was put out or prior to it being mass put out, I feel like they could have revised all of these stories to be one more cohesive, but also not have moments like this where we're once again being told the same story, just slightly different.
The resistance to even have the Bible widely printed so that the believers could read it, like the Vatican's initial resistance to that, is well founded. Because if you just go by what the priests are saying, you can't point to like, hey, why are there two versions of the same story? These are very different versions. Because in the version I just read, it just sounds like David and God were talking to each other, and God was like, David, you have done so much for me. You're so great. I just want you to get back. You killed so many people. Your son, I'm going to let him have a peaceful reign, and he can build my tabernacle because he'll have time. And it's kind of, wait, can create peacetime. Why didn't you just have peacetime then?
That's the part that always escapes me. Like,
And it also
I,
says like he's God was commanding Solomon to obey the laws and ordinances of Moses. Just to remind everybody, those included a lot of laws about slaves, how you should treat your slaves and how much you can sell your slaves for. So just something to keep in mind.
yeah, I always feel like God, that people, I hear people say God uses people, or you're a vessel, or whatever the case may be. But again, if if God is this all powerful being, then why not just handle the stuff himself? Like, he
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
need
weird.
us.
Every once in a while, God's like, hey guys, can you pick up the under end of this couch? I'm so tired. Like, yeah.
Well, but
God's so weird.
the argument I feel like I hear to that though is, well, yeah, God doesn't need you, but he's trying to, like, essentially get you to show your loyalty or show that you believe in him because he's a merciful God or whatever. And it's just like that just very much always comes off like manipulation, and not in necessarily a good way.
It does. All right. You ready for Chronicles 23?
First Chronicles 23, New Revised Standard Version, the families of the Levites and their functions. When David was old and full of days, he made his son Solomon king over Israel. David assumed all the leaders of Israel, and the priests and the Levites
Assembled.
assembled all the leaders of the Israel and the priests and the Levites. The Levites 30 years old and upward were counted, and the total was 38,000. 24,000 of these, David said, shall have charge of the work in the house of the Lord. 6,000 shall be officers and judges, 4,000 gatekeepers, and 4,000 shall offer praises to the Lord with the instruments that I have made for praise. And David organized them in divisions corresponding to the sons of Levi: Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. The sons of Gershon were Ladan and Shimel. The sons of Ladan, or Ladan, Jehiel the chief, Zepham, and Joel 3. The sons of Shimel, Shelomoth, Haziel, and Haran 3. These were the heads of families of Ladan, Ladan, and the sons of Shimel, Jahath, Zena, Jeush, and Beriah. These four were the sons of Shimel. Jahath was the chief in Ziza the second, but Jeush and Beriah did not have many sons, so they were enrolled as a single family. The sons of Kohath: Amram, Izar, Hebron, and Uziel 4. The sons of Amram: Aaron and Moses. Aaron was set apart to consecrate the most holy thing, so that he and his sons forever should make offerings before the Lord and minister to him and pronounce blessings in his name forever. But as for Moses, the man of God, his sons were to be reckoned among the tribe of Levi. The sons of Moses: Gershom and Eleazar. The sons of Gershom: Shebuel the chief. The sons of Eleazar: Rehabiah the chief, Eleazar, had no other sons, but the sons of Rehabiah were very numerous. The sons of Izhar, Shelomith the chief. The sons of Hebron, Jeriah the chief, Amariah the second, Jahaziel the third, and Jechamine the fourth. The sons of Uziel, Micah the chief, and Ishia the second. The sons of Merari, Mali, and Mushi. The sons of Mali, Eleazar, and Kish. Eleazar died having no sons, but only daughters. Their kindred, the sons of Kish, married them. The sons of Mushi, Mali, Eder, and Jeremoth, three. These were the sons of Levi by their ancestral houses, the heads of families as they were enrolled according to the number of the names of the individuals from 20 years old and upward who were to do the work for the service of the house of the Lord. For David said, the Lord, the God of Israel, had given rest to his people, and he resided in Jerusalem forever. And so the Levites no longer needed to carry the tabernacle or any of the things for his service. For according to the last words of David, these were the number of the Levites from 20 years old and upward. But their duty shall be to assist the descendants of Aaron for the service of the house of the Lord, having the care of the courts and the chambers, the cleansings of all that is holy, and any work for the service of the house of God, to assist also with the rolls of bread, the choice flour for the grain offering, the wafers of unleavened bread, the baked offering, the offering mixed with oil, and all measures of quantity or size. And they shall stand every morning thankfully and praising the Lord, and likewise at evening. And wherever burnt offerings are offered to the Lord on Sabbath, new moons, and appointed festivals according to the number required to them, regularly before the Lord. Thus they shall keep charge of the tent of meeting and the sanctuary, and shall attend the descendants of Aaron, their kindred, for the service of the house of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
Alrighty. So once again, it's very funny that it's just like, oh, the Lord's just handing this was all David's idea, and they're just counting up all the Levites. They get to be in charge of everything because that's the tribe Moses was from. And like I said, this wasn't originally meant to be in service to Christianity because they didn't know that was going to be a thing. Like, this would have just been Jewish law. So according to their stuff, the Levites are, I mean, it sounds like to me like they were like, the Levites are supposed to be in charge forever, but we're definitely not doing that. Um, and yeah, I don't know. There was just a lot of name listing, and um it kind of reminds me of just how, like, if you stay busy enough, people won't really ask too many questions. Like, they're just like, oh, well, we have to make sacrifices for, the new moon and for this, that. It's like you just do all these rituals and people don't really question it because it's just always been done. I think I recently heard, like, my new little favorite quote is traditions are peer pressure from dead people.
Yeah. Except when you meet people like, I guess, you and I, who, well, I mean, I guess I questioned from the beginning, but um, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's peer pressure. I just didn't really buy into it, and here I am now reading this.
Well, there's always that accusation of like, well, do you think you know better than God? It's like, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm not convinced this is coming from God. Just like, I feel like I would be the same in any culture. Like, if I had grown up in a Muslim culture, I probably, because there's lots of, people who end up leaving Islam too when they figure out it's like, I don't think this is quite right. Or like people who leave Mormonism or Scientology. Like, there's always going to be people who question what they're brought up in. It's just, it's a huge um sort of amount of mental work you have to do to kind of deconstruct a lot of what's kind of forced on you when you're a child. I think Bill Burr had the best sort of take on it when he was just talking about when he was like, okay, like when he thought about everyone else's religion was crazy, but like when he examined, like, oh, wait, like it's not like I believe in anything less crazy. I just heard about it when I was a kid, so it was plausible.
Yeah. At least the what are they called? Um Scientologists, they have a spaceship in theirs.
Right.
Yeah.
You got Tom Cruise, like it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's a whole thing. So yeah, I don't know. It's just to me very ironic that we're seen as the bad ones because we're just pointing out a lot of this is violent and doesn't make sense.
I think people have a hard time letting go. It's like even when you present them with the facts, I guess they view it more as an attack on their character. I think there was maybe quite a bit of episodes ago I had made a mention of that because there was a quote that I liked from Mark Manson. He kind of talked about that. Like people very, to paraphrase, people very rarely are gonna just be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. No, they very much look at you as you are the problem. So,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate, but I don't know. I'm kind of just going through life and accepting it and becoming more comfortable in it.
Yeah. Alrighty, I'm gonna go ahead and tackle 1 Chronicles 24, if you don't mind.
All right.
Okay. Divisions of the priest. The divisions of the descendants of Aaron were these: the sons of Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. But Nadab and Abihu died before their father and had no sons. So Eleazar and Ithamar became the priests, along with Zadok, the sons of Eleazar, and Amalek, the sons of Ithamar. David organized them according to the appointed duties in their service. Since more chief men were found among the sons of Eleazar than among the sons of Ithamar, they organized them under 16 heads of ancestral houses of the sons of Eleazar and 8 of the sons of Ithamar. They organized them by lot, all alike, for they were officers of the sanctuary and officers of God among both sons of Eleazar and the sons of Ithamar. The scribe Shemaiah, son of Nethiel, a Levite, recorded them in the presence of the king and the officers, and Zadok the priest, and Amalek son of Abiathar, and heads of ancestral houses of priests and the Levites, one ancestral house being chosen of Eleazar and one chosen for Ithamar. The first lot fell of Jethorarb, son, the second to Jedediah, the third to Harim, and the fourth to Seoriam, the fifth to Malchijah, the sixth to Mijamian, the seventh to Hakaz, the eighth to Abijah, the ninth to Jeshua, and the 10th to Shishkiah, the 11th to Elishab, the 12th to Jacham, the 13th to Huppah, the 14th to Jeshbiah, the 15th to Bigla, the 16th to Emir, the 17th to Hezir, and the 18th to Happiaziz, the 19th to Peliathah, the 20th to Hezkel, the 21st to Jachin, the 22nd to Gamuel, the 23rd to Delaiah, the 24th to Maziah. These had as their appointed duties in their service to enter the house of the Lord according to the procedure established for them by their ancestor Aaron, as the Lord God of Israel commanded them. Other Levites, and the rest of the sons of Levi, of the sons of Aram, Shibiel, sons of Shubiel, Jediah of Rehabbah, of the sons of Rehabbah, the Ishiah, the chief of the Israelites, Shemoth, of the sons of Shemoth, Jebath, the sons of Hebron, Jeriah, the chief, Amariah the second, Jahaziel the third, Jechmam the fourth, the sons of Uziel, Micah, of the sons of Micah, Shemar, the brother of Micah, Ishia, the sons of Ishia, Zechariah, the sons of Miriah, Mahai, Mamushi, the sons of Jaziah, Beno, the sons of Moriah, Jahaziah, Beno, Shoam, Zachur, and Ibria of Mahai, Eleazar, who had no sons of Kish, the sons of Kish, Jeremiel, the sons of Mushi, Mahal, Eder, and Jeremoth. These were the sons of the Levites according to their ancestral houses. These also cast lots corresponding to their kindred, the descendants of Aaron and the priest of King David, Zadok, Amalek, the heads of the ancestral houses of priests and of the Levites, the chiefs, as well as the youngest brother. And as always, no female leadership.
There was not.
I
Why
don't
are
think
you
there were
reading
any
that?
in any of these chapters.
No, you can't be led by a woman because
I mean, we can't even mention them. I mean, somebody had to be popping out all these sons.
yeah, but they're just tools to I don't even know, man. While you're reading that though, I was thinking about because this is essentially the division of the Aaronic priesthood into the 24, I guess, versions that they became. And a couple of things popped in my mind. One, a lot of this of what you just read made me feel like, why the fuck does this just feel like I don't know if the word is like legalese or terms and conditions, but it just seems like very much of contract negotiating for like as if a lawyer would do. So that
Yeah,
was
it's very corporate.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but I was
So
curious if we even still follow this like today. And apparently the Aaronic priesthood is still followed by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So
the
there's that.
Mormons,
The Mormon, I guess. Is that
that's who
what they oh,
that's what they rebranded like in the 80s as the Church of Jesus Christ in Latter-day Saints. So yeah, they
okay.
have their own I think Melchizedek priesthood is what they call it.
Mhm.
And the priesthood holders, pretty much the man in the house is the priesthood holder. And they use this as a justification as to why men get to be in charge of everything. And women, you can just keep having these babies and you can be in charge of other women and the children, but the men are in charge of everything that counts.
Well, and which brought me to, I guess, my third
Not that
thought. My
children don't count, because really the men are in charge of the children too. Because if he wants to sell them, he could do that.
that's crazy. The third thing I was thinking, which sparked from when you were reading, is just I was curious as to which version of Christianity most closely follows the Bible, essentially to a T. And I thought it would be like the Mormon Church, but according to Google, it's the Eastern Orthodox Church.
That
Uh,
makes sense because the Mormons, they don't even, I mean, they will use the Bible, but they have their own Bible, the Book of Mormon. So like in which was just, was it Joseph Smith just plagiarized the Bible to make his thing. So once again, this is just usually most religions when you look back, they've just ripped off another religion. Even what we're reading now, a lot of the stuff that they're doing, they just kind of learned from other people.
I don't know. I'm conflicted on that idea because I think that it's always good to attribute where you got things from. You know, in school you learn to cite your fucking sources, so I think that's great to do. But also, I mean, there are plenty of things that I've seen where I'm like, oh, I prefer this version better, whether it be like a film that was maybe not the theatrical cut, but the the director's cut or whatever, or maybe there's several different iterations of books, but maybe you have a edition that you like the best.
Well,
So
I was
yeah,
looking at like some of the chapters coming up, and it looks like we're getting more into the bureaucracy and like organization of this
oh
a little
boy,
bit more. But it makes me just kind of wonder because it's like they're making it such a big deal. David's like, no, totally. God was talking to me and he really wants a house. Why would God need a house? Why would God care? Like, if you are the God of the universe, you made black holes, quasars, like a whole freaking universe. Why would you care about some little rinky dink wood house in the middle of like, you know, this little small patch of dirt?
that's the part that puzzles me. Not what you said exactly, but was this just a means of control for people, or
Yes.
okay? But
Because
even that, I feel like it had to have taken some time for it to get on a roll. Like
sure.
whoever first started kind of having this grand idea to put together, I imagine when they brought this to people, they were like, "Oh, that's just stories we've heard before," or whatever the case may be. So how, or was it essentially, as you said, these things were passed down in tradition, and people just kind of started attributing them to however they ran their societies?
That one, like you just sing the song, you do the stuff, you only live till 30. You don't have enough calories, there's no running water. Nobody has time to think about this stuff. Like you just do whatever the Levites say. To me, once again, I'll bring this up over and over again. What's most interesting to me is the fact they haven't mentioned hell. As much as hell gets mentioned in the modern church, you would think that at some point, if this is all a cohesive sort of, you know, narrative from God about how to save our souls, right now, all he's doing is telling us like how to build stuff and how to kill stuff.
Yeah. According to, I can't remember if we brought this up. You've definitely said that before, but I can't remember if we went into depth. But according uh, to Google, the word hell is actually not mentioned in the Hebrew Bible, Old Testament of the Christian Bible. So we're not, and we're still in the Old Testament. So we're not even going to learn of this concept until we get to the New Testament, which is very fascinating.
And it's still not super fleshed out. Like people once again don't like hearing this, but a lot of our concepts of sort of our modern ideas of hell come from cartoons for the most part. And art basically. And even like Dante's Inferno, like it's basically sort of the fan fiction of Christianity where we get hell. Um, you like that? I got her. But yeah, basically that's what the concept spun out of, and it just ended up being a banger because it really resonates with people because it's like, oh crap, like something can happen after I die. I thought that was the end. It's like, no, turns out if God's mad at you, he'll torture you forever for not listening to what I'm telling you. And it's like, geez, that's some hardcore violence right there. Cause, at least if, someone kills you, that's the end. But the idea of a loving God torturing you forever because you didn't believe the right thing, to me has always just seemed insane. Oh, it's so funny too, because I think Pope Benedict, like in 2018, like kind of questioned the existence of hell.
Oh, interesting.
Possibly because it seems like they're trying to step back from it because it's not a good doctrine. So now Pope Francis, he's doubled down on it. He's saying like, no, seriously, guys, hell's for realsies. But like I want to know when they started because hell hasn't always been a part of the Christian dogma from the beginning. It's something that kind of got added later on, sort of like the divinity of Jesus. That was something that was interesting to me when I was doing sort of like my spiritual journey, like to have a personal relationship with Christ. I was like, oh, let me, the more I learned, and I learned that in early Christianity, not everyone believed that Jesus was actually God, because then that messes with the concept of monotheism, because if God has a son, then we've at least got two gods right there. So there was a
And
lot
like the
of,
Holy Spirit shit or whatever, the
yeah, the
Trinity.
Trinity. And once again, that doesn't appear anywhere in the Bible. That's just something that the Vatican made up to make the math check out, the miracle of the Trinity. So it's this idea of like in the early church that there was basically conflict on whether or not Jesus was divine or not. And like the people who believe that he was, they went out and came up with a way to justify it. And if you don't like it, you can go to hell.
Also, let's not forget that, what was Mary, like 14?
Possibly, yeah. But remember, you became a woman at 30. You know, you have bar and bat mitzvahs because that's what that represents. You're officially a man or a woman, and
I don't
that's
give
when
a
you get
fuck.
married.
It's gross.
Well,
And
it,
yes, we can argue that people died at 30 or whatever, or 40. I don't
yeah.
give a fuck. That's fucking sick. And that's obviously, for the larger part of the world, something that we've moved away from is fucking little girls. So,
Hmm.
yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. And, I don't know if it was penetrative, but, the Lord impregnated her without her consent, too.
Uh, yeah, also kind of fucked up.
So the concept of the inferno or hell developed in Israel only during the Hellenistic period, beginning in the 4th century BCE. And yeah. It's to me it's worth looking up because for something that's used to control people's lives, people should have a better understanding of it. Because to me, the concept of hell really freaked me out when I was younger, especially the idea of people that like I love or innocent people going there. Because then they put the guilt on you. It's like, well, if you don't share the word of Jesus Christ, then it's kind of your fault if people go to hell. It's like, no, it's not. That's an abuse tactic. It's just like when an abuser hurt someone around you and you're like, you made me do that because you didn't do what I said. It's like, no, you did that. Like, you're using me as a scapegoat, but you're the one who did that. So yeah, I think this is important to me because I feel like there's so much abuse in our society and the Bible doesn't do a lot to stem it. It helps to perpetuate it in a lot of ways. Yeah. But yeah, I think we did a good today.
Okay, we did a good today.
We did a good job today, getting through some more of the Bible. I hope everybody remembers your body belongs to you and you can use it to believe or not believe.
Next time on Bible Breakdown Podcast, we will be discussing 1 Chronicles 26, 27, and 28, which is regarding the gatekeepers, the military divisions, and Solomon being instructed to build the temple.
And the temple musicians.
Yeah, so maybe we'll get some good jams out of that. Be curious, not judgmental. Bible Breakdown Podcast at gmail.com. Peace.
Do, 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 do.